All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA regular season video. We have some games to talk about from last night. We have the Spurs taking a trip up to Dallas or down to Dallas to play the Mavericks. We have Cleveland in New York to play the Knicks. And we have some other games I want to talk about, some little quick hits. Every NBA team has at least played one game, so I just want to talk about some of the other games a little bit. And we have some breaking news this morning about Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, so we'll get to that at the end of the video. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So, first thing on the agenda, well, we should say this. How I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this in order. I'm going to talk about Spurs, Mavs, because that was the more interesting game out of the two from last night that were on prime time. Then we're going to talk about Knicks, Cavs. Then we're going to jump into some quick hits. And then at the end, we're going to talk about Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups scandal that just broke this morning. So let's do that. And I think I'm actually going to make a change right now. We're going to talk about the quick hits now because I think it would just be fun to get these out of the way first and then Spurs Mavs. So let's see, which we got a bunch here. We got Hornets versus Nets, we got Magic versus Heat, we got Raptors versus Hawks, we got 76ers versus Celtics, Grizzlies versus Pelicans, Jazz versus Clippers, and Timberwolves versus the Trailblazers. Okay. Let's talk about this 76ers Celtics game. This was a really tight game all the way through. Um, the Philadelphia 76ers won this game 117 to the Boston Celtics 116. And the main takeaway from this game, well, there were two takeaways. VJ Edgecombe, the rookie they drafted this year, looked absolutely incredible. He looked great. He looked like the truth. Um, I saw the highlights on Twitter. I'm gonna go back and actually look at the game and watch the game just for VJ Edgecombe. They said coming out of the draft, great athlete, high energy, high motor guy, and he displayed that all last night. And the on the other side of this, for the 76ers, is that um, Joel Embiid did not look good. He looked very old. He looked very um, stagnant. And the fun fact about this game was Joel Embiid scored up until about midway through the second quarter, and then he did not score again. He was 1 for 9, 0 for 4 from three, 2 of 2 on free throws, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 personal fouls, 1 block. Um, Joel Embiid, if you watch the tape of it, he's not jumping. He's literally not jumping anymore. He doesn't jump. He even on rebounds, he doesn't jump up to get rebounds anymore. His knees are absolutely cooked. They're just gone. I know he had an off season where he got the surgery and now he's been working his way back and um, they're giving him all the time he's needed. If he wanted to play, it was literally up to him if he wanted to play the season opener or not. He chose to, and I think we're at the point in which we can say Joel Embiid is never going to return to that MVP status that he once got or once was. It's a rough look because I came on here at the end of last season, end of last regular season, and I said, maybe maybe you just consider it, trading Joel Embiid, trying to get off this Paul George contract and go with the young guys. This is before they even had VJ Edgecombe. This is before we even knew they were going to be picking tops in the draft. And now you have VJ, you have Maxey, you have Jared McCain. You have a good young core. This is a huge overreaction. This is like an overreaction I come back to in like 3 months and be like, okay, no, Joel Embiid's fine. But I'm gonna stand firm on this and say maybe my hunch of trading Joel Embiid was right, and maybe just maybe it's time to end the process and go ahead with Maxi, VJ, and you got some other young guys here. Dembona, Quentin Grimes is on the scene. He's not young, but he'd be somebody you probably try to keep around if you can get off Embiid and Paul George. But um, the first game is always leaves an impression, and it's up to the players for it to be a good impression or a bad impression. And this game was an all-time stinker for Joel Embiid. If there was any recoverable um, factors of his game that people were holding on to, I think they're gone. As somebody who was a Joel Embiid fan, as somebody who always seems to pick the wrong bigs in these like sort of battles that um, we go through the eras, you know. At one point, it was like, oh, who's better, DeMarcus Cousins or Joel Embiid? And I was like, DeMarcus Cousins is better. And then DeMarcus Cousins gets injured, and then it became who's better between the three bigs, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic. I was never really sold on Anthony Davis as being a five and being in that conversation, so I picked Joel Embiid. And I was like, oh, Joel Embiid's so much better than Jokic. Look at the stuff he does. And then Jokic wins like two MVPs, and then Joel gets injured, and then he wins an MVP after, or before he wins the MVP, and then gets injured, and then it comes out that like it becomes apparent that Nikola Jokic is the best center in the league, and I always seem to pick the guy who gets injured. Um, but yeah, not a good look for the Sixers. I mean, others in this game: Tyrese Maxey 40, um, Quentin Grimes 10, Kelly Oubre 10, Dominic Barlow 10. Let's see here for the Celtics. Jaylen Brown 25, Derek White 25, Payne Pritchard 16 getting the start, Sam Hauser 8, Nemez Queta 17. Their bench was a little suspect. Anthony Simons off the bench with 13. Um, all in all, this was a pretty competitive game for the Celtics when they looked like they weren't going to be competitive in this game, but they fought back. So the 76ers start the season 1-0, and the Celtics start 0-1. Um, let's see here. Doo-doo-doo. Next little quick hit I want to talk about here is the Clippers falling to the Utah Jazz. Jazz won this game 129 to the Clippers 108. The Utah Jazz are at home. LA Clippers got a treat, taking a trip from LA to Utah. Nothing against Utah, just a funny way to start the season. And the Jazz absolutely stomped this Clippers team. Again, I don't know if I said this, but a lot of this is overreactions. But I again, I think the first impression you make on a season is important. And um, from what it looks like, the Clippers tried their butts off. It looks like a very competitive game. There's one thing that really sticks out to me here, but we'll talk about it in a minute. I want to talk about the winners. Utah Jazz. I had theorized, I had said that the Jazz were done tanking. Like the tanking that have been on the last couple years, they were done doing that. They wanted to win at least a little bit, try to form some identity, some culture besides the losing culture, and to beat a team that a lot of people are sold on. I'm sort of like half in and half out on the Clippers. My big caveat was they have to start the season hot. This is not a good way to start the season hot. Um, for the Jazz, um, a really interesting starting lineup, but it worked. It worked. Lauri Markkanen 20, getting that trade value up. Kyle Filipowski, who I'm very high on. I like what I saw in preseason. He didn't really show off this much this game. He took a lot of threes this game, almost as much as Lauri Markkanen, um, almost as much as Kante George, almost as much as Bryce Sensabaugh. So he's one of those shooters. Um, I think him. I did not foresee him starting, but to start him is fine by me. You have Walker Kessler, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks, really good stuff. Continuing his ascension upwards to being known as one of the more um, highbrow, high defensive bigs. Svi Mikhailuk, 9 points. Did not see him starting either when I saw this lineup. When I saw this roster on paper, and Kante George getting the start. 16 points, 9 assists. Did not took a lot of threes. Did not make a lot of threes. Off the bench, Taylor Hendricks 13, Bryce Sensabaugh 20, Ace Bailey, their draft pick, not a great opener for him. 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, only 1 turnover, 1 personal foul, 20 minutes. And then their other draft pick, Walter Clayton, 10 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 6 rebounds. So good for him. They didn't make a lot of threes. You got Slim Mikhailuk making 3. You have Lauri Markkanen making 4. So it's not like they shot the Clippers out of the gym. They only shot, what is this, 38% from 3, which by itself is a pretty high number, but you would think losing by almost 30 points in your season opener, the Clippers, you would have gotten shot out the gym. And for the Clippers, man, I don't have a lot to say about this team. I said this in my video when I was previewing. I was like, oh, am I getting sold on the Clippers again? I'm not completely sold on them, but I do like the potential of the team and them starting hot. If this team continues to lose to teams like this, who, like, by teams like this, I mean teams that weren't good last year, but the Clippers don't take them seriously enough. Um, that spells disaster in the West, because there are a lot of teams that are low key good that will come into your building, or you'll come into their building and you'll get smacked in the face by them. That's what happened to the Clippers last night. Kawhi Leonard, not a good opener. 10 points, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 personal fouls, 2 turnovers. Derek Jones Jr., one of the highlights, 12 points in 18 minutes. Ivica Zubac, steady as always, 19 points. James Harden, 15, 5 of 12, 2 of 9. And God, man, they're really starting Bradley Beal. They're really starting. Jeez, okay. They started Bradley Beal, who I am not the biggest fan of. He had 5 points last night, 4 personal fouls, 104 from 3, 205. Um, I like their coach Tyronn Lue. I like him a lot. I think he's a smart guy. Um, I don't know why Bradley Beal's starting. I know he had a little fit about um, not starting in Phoenix and all this stuff, and he like pouted and like sat on the bench and felt bad about himself. Um, guess what, Brad? You're not that guy. You're not that guy anymore, Brad. You give me 5 points in my season opener, guy. I rather have Chris Paul out there. I rather have Chris Dunn out there. I do not need Bradley Beal starting with James Harden, both two very shot heavy guards. James Harden more so fading into that um, orchestrator role, but still, the best James Harden is the one that scores. The best James Harden is the one who's like 20, 10, and 10. That's a good night for James Harden. That's all I can ask from James Harden at this point in his career. Bradley Beal, I don't know what I need from you, buddy. I need you to play defense and maybe score a few buckets. You did not do either. You had 4 personal fouls, and you were 1 for 4 from 3. Yeah, no, okay, I'm good off that. Moving on here. Quickly, I want to talk about Hornets versus the Nets. The Nets went down to Charlotte to play the Hornets. The Hornets won this game 136 to the Brooklyn Nets 117. Um, I was I'm not even going to talk about the stats in this game, even though I'm looking at them right now. Um, the Nets are projected to be one of the worst teams in the league, but Charlotte looked pretty good. Charlotte looked pretty good. They looked pretty good. I mean, their starting five: LaMelo 20, Brandon Miller 25, um, Brian Kay 10 points, Miles Bridges 18, Concanoople 11. Off the bench, they had a bunch of guys in double digits. A real routing, a real how do I say this? Show of force. Because, like, you would think, oh, I just like roll over and like not take the Nets seriously. The Nets came into their place and they're like, hey, you know what? We're just gonna beat you by, like, 20 something. Really good stuff. The Nets, surprisingly pretty decent. There's a bunch of guys in double digits. Let's see here. Nick Claxton, your leading scorer, of course. The veteran. Um, the veteran Nick Claxton. Where is? Oh, there he is. Michael Porter Jr. 12 points and Cam Thomas 15 points. Diabolical duo. Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas. Jeez. Diabolical being bad, not in a good sense. So yeah, that's that game done. And then we had a couple here, a couple surprising wins from last night for me. Raptors won against the Hawks, 138 to the Hawks, 118. And I told y'all, I know it's one game, but the 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 Raptors might surprise some people this year. They might be slightly competitive, slightly competitive. Um, yeah, let's see who's the leading scorer for the Raptors. 25 for RJ Barrett, very good. Actually, yeah, 25 for the Raptors, and for the Hawks, Trae Young 22, tied with Jalen Johnson 22. And Onyeka Okongwu 18 off the bench, really good stuff. Yeah, just need a little bit better from the Hawks. They got jumped a little bit. Um, Heat versus the Magic, a battle in Florida. Magic won this game 125 to the Heat's 121. Um, Leading scorer, Paulo and Franz, both 24. Very good stuff. Desmond Bain, the new acquisition from the offseason, 23 points. And the Heat tried their butts off. I mean, you got Norman Powell. Like, I was kind of shitting on Norman Powell. Norman Powell, 28. Leading scorer for the Heat. Andrew Wiggins, 18. Bam Adebayo, quiet 15. Davion Mitchell. Okay, they're not starting Kalal Ware. Okay. You're starting Nikola Jovic. Very nice. I mean, he was 2 for 3 from three, so I guess you have to have some spacing out there. Anyways, last one, Zion versus Ja. Memphis Grizzlies versus New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans 122. The Memphis Grizzlies 128. I only pulled up this game because I didn't think Ja Morant would play this game. I didn't think Jaren Jr. would play this game. Um, but they did. But they did. They both started. They both played. Both played somewhere near 30 minutes. Ja Morant 35 in the opener. Good for him. And then Jaren Jackson Jr. 18 in the opener. Very nice. And you still got the Pelicans hanging around. Zion Williamson 27 looks very healthy. Jordan Poole 17 in his Pelicans debut. Looks pretty good. And yeah, that's the only reason why to pull up was I was surprised both those guys started. Okay, on to the meat and potatoes. Let me sit up for this one. So we have the San Antonio Spurs taking a little trip to Dallas to play the Mavericks. Um, Man, oh man, where do I start? Um, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, I have my notes here. I have my notes as I always do for these games, or most of the time have for these games. And the first note I have is the starting five for the San Antonio Spurs. Interesting. I'm always vaguely concerned when I see Harrison Barnes as a starter. I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I'm concerned about the starting lineup because like you got Julian Champagnie in here, you got Harrison Barnes. Like there are a couple like things you could tweak a little bit, and that could be better. But considering they won and considering the night that Victor had, you might not need to improve the starting five. you might just you might just be able to get away with a Harrison Barnes 7 point game, a Julian Champagnie 5 point game, and then the other three starters doing crazy stuff. Um, the um, the big thing this game and what the headlines are going to say is the Victor Wembanyama return. This was the return after his season was cut short last year um, for medical reasons. He came back and he looked amazing. He looked he looked great. Amazing is such an understatement of a word, but he looked incredible, amazing, transcendental. Every other word, every other superlative you could use for Victor Wembanyama. He looked great. 40 points, 3 blocks, no turnovers, um, 1 steal, 1 assist, 15 rebounds, 1 of 2 from three. Did not take a lot of threes, which is big change from last year. 15 of 21 overall in only 30 minutes. They blew the Dallas Mavericks out. They blew them out. Um, I wanna really get to this Victor Wembanyama point. I want to get to this Victor Wembanyama point, but we do need to talk about the starting lineup for the Dallas Mavericks as well. The Dallas Mavericks did the thing. They did the thing everybody was talking about that everybody thought they were gonna do. Um, Cooper Flag at point guard and bringing their offseason acquisition in D'Angelo Russell off the bench. D'Angelo Russell is basically the only point guard on this team. Maybe Max Christie, maybe Ryan Nemhard. Um, but they Coach Jason Kidd said, you know what? Let's put Cooper Flag at the point guard spot. And they ran Cooper Flag, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. And um, I just remember this too. Um, the thing about Jason Kidd is an interesting coach. He's an interesting guy. He's been around a lot. Former player, obviously, has had many stops as a coach, including like Brooklyn as a head coach in the early 2000s, um, or when they first moved to Brooklyn, I should say. Yeah, when they first moved to Brooklyn, um, but one of the first couple years they moved to Brooklyn. Um, Stops in Milwaukee to coach Giannis. Um, Stops as an assistant coach in LA, where he rehabbed his career a little bit, learned a little bit. And one thing that Jason Kidd never learns is not to play guys out of position. He played Giannis out of position for a long time. And it was only after he got fired and Giannis was able to play his regular position, his normal, more favorable position, that he really started winning and started um, putting together good games, great games, Defensive Player of the Year years, um, MVP seasons. I'm not saying that's what he's going to do with Cooper Flag. I think Cooper Flag is not going to start the point guard spot again. Maybe like one or two more times against like some lesser competition, but they threw him right into the fire and they threw him out of position in his first game, and that was not a good look. It looked bad. And Cooper had a bad game. He sort of heated up when it was the game was already out of reach, but it wasn't a good night for him. He had 10 points, 10 rebounds, double double, three turnovers, three personal fouls. Did not make a three. I think it was like early third quarter he had his first points, or late second quarter, and it was not a good night for Cooper Flag. I don't think it was a night anybody envisioned. There were flashes definitely, but when you're a number one pick, flashes are not enough. Um, so he's gonna get raked over the coals a little bit. Not by me. I'll give it till All Star break. I'll give it to All Star break, but that's just me. There's some other guys I'm going to talk about on this this Mavericks team. One of the other notes I had here was Anthony Davis already sick of the goggles. Anthony Davis had surgery to repair a retina. Um, it was this off season or the off season before that one, and he has to wear the goggles for the rest of his career. And this leads into my point going back to Victor is that Anthony Davis was getting absolutely bullied by Victor Wembanyama, absolutely bullied. Um, and he got hit. Well, this was a separate play, but he's been hit a bunch of times already, and he got hit and like over the head by I think it was Luke Cornett, and it hit his goggles, and he I think that goggles like broke or something, and he just threw them on the ground. He's like, I'm sick of these goggles. Um, but to my point, Anthony Davis got worked by um, Victor Wembanyama, and let me remind everybody who Anthony Davis is. Anthony Davis, 10-time All Star, three-time block champ, 5-time All NBA, 5-time All Defensive, and an NBA champion. And he was getting worked by um, what is he, 22? 20 was he 22? The 21-year-old Victor Wembanyama, he got worked. Anthony Davis, a 13-year NBA vet, age 32, got worked by somebody a whole decade younger than him, and it was absolutely insane to watch. Um, Wemby's force this game was incredible. It was such a pleasure to watch because There were a lot of times last year where he just settled. Wemby would settle for like these jumpers. He would settle for like these 3-point shots. He would settle for like these easy, like, like off the glass. Let me do something cute with it. He was throwing it down. He had a couple where he was getting in stride and he would catch it like from the free. He would catch it on like a pocket assist and a pocket pass, and he would catch it. He would catch it low, or he would catch it mid chest, and he would just use those long arms and just throw it in the basket. And you would look and be, what is he doing? And there are other times where he was working with the in the post on Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis is no slouch. This isn't like some just like random like center. This is Anthony Davis, and he got worked by Victor. And I was thinking about it this morning when I was thinking about making this video. When I was preparing to make this video, I was like, you know, there comes a time in everybody's career in basketball and any sport where you were once the guy who was like the young guy coming in with all the skill, all the talent, all the upside, showing off your skills for the first time. And that was Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was that guy. Anthony Davis was very highly touted um, coming out of college, and he had all the skill, he had all the upside, and now Anthony Davis is on the other side, getting worked by Victor, and it's just so crazy to see. As somebody who really grew up watching Anthony Davis, it's crazy to watch Anthony Davis. He's not even old. He's still Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is still really good. Anthony Davis had 22 points, 13 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 of 4 from three. His three looked really solid. Looked like it was back in form. He was 27 of 22, which isn't great, but man, it was crazy because Anthony Davis like, oh yeah, I bulked up this summer, and then Victor Wembanyama still like not he's still like kind of skinny, but more built now. He's just working him just because Victor's 7 or 7'5" or whatever he says he is, and Anthony Davis is only like only 7 foot, only 6'11", 6'10", pardon me. So it was just insane to watch. If you did not see Victor Wembanyama go to work on Anthony Davis, I encourage you to watch it. There were a lot of interesting moments that you're just like, oh, that's what he was working on this summer. Oh, that's what he added. Um, Crazy stuff. For the Mavericks, heading back towards the Mavericks side. Um, Man, oh man. There's an uncomfortable conversation that we need to start having. And it's about one of my favorite players of all time. Klay Thompson. Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Every year that goes by since Klay Thompson hasn't been in a Warriors jersey, he's looked worse and worse and worse, man. Last night, he was missing shots that he usually makes. Um, he was getting destroyed. Um, well, he wasn't even getting destroyed off defensively. He was just like, it's like I didn't even notice him out there defending anybody. Like he was just a net neutral, which isn't great. Um, Coming from a guy who used to be like considered like a top 5, top 3 defender in the NBA, just like maybe 5 years ago. Again, that was 5 years ago though, so maybe I should temper my expectations a bit more. But yeah, it was kind of sad to watch because it was like, okay, Klay, you're gonna do your thing. You gotta show up, buddy. Come on. And he just didn't show up. 1 of 5 from three, 4 of 13 overall from field goal. 10 points on the night. One turnover, one personal foul, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Just a huge and nothing burger. Um, I would be surprised if he was maybe perhaps out of the starting five at some point because they got an abundance of talent here. Um, Max Christie looked really good. Ryan Nemhard, their draft pick, looked really good. Jaden Hardy, who only got 7 minutes, looked a lot better than Klay Thompson did at times. So Klay, time's a ticking. Time's a ticking, buddy. Um, Wemby already had 30 in the third quarter. That's when they started really blowing them out. I have Coop on my notes. It's a Cooper Flag no show. This is before he even had the 10 points that he ended with. He had like 2 or 3, I believe. Um, and I have a note here that says like it looks like the Spurs have taken a leap, and I wanted to really hammer this home because I didn't really talk about the Spurs new coach Mitch Johnson, who was an interim head coach last year due to Greg Popovich's medical issues and what became a medical condition from Greg Popovich. He can no longer coach, so Mitch Johnson took the reins with Greg Popovich's blessing. And I don't really have an opinion on Mitch Johnson. I was like, okay, he's a Spurs guy, like okay, cool, I'm not gonna say anything bad or anything good about him because I don't know enough about him. I've only seen him coach like handful of games, and the Spurs weren't that good last year. They didn't have Wemby. Um, he was demanding in those huddles, and I really liked it. I really liked his intensity. I liked his vibe. I liked what he had going. One of the key things that stuck out to me was this is when they were up like 15 or 20 already, but he was like still laying into his guys. He was like, you have to embrace the boring, the rebounds, the defense, just keep going through every motion, every time down the floor. Just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And that I can respect, and I think that's what this young team needs. I mean, the vets on this team include like Harrison Barnes, who is questionable. Let's see here. Bismack Biyombo, he got in the game. I didn't even realize he was in the game. Luke Cornett. So it's not a lot of guys, that are veterans on this team. So they need a guy who's going to tell them, um, especially on the coaching staff, like we need to just get through the motions every day, brick by brick. Um, Let me talk about the number 2 pick from this year's draft, Dylan Harper. 23 minutes, 15 points, 5 personal fouls, 4 turnovers, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Not a great night for him, but nevertheless, better than Cooper Flag at least. Let's see. Let's run through some of these other stats real quick before we move on to our last game. Um, Victor Wembanyama 40, Devin Vassell 13, Stefan Castle 22. There was no De'Aaron Fox this game, so there were some more shots to go around. Keldon Johnson 11, and like I said, Dylan Harper 15. Anthony Davis 22, PJ Washington 17, Cooper Flag 10, Derek Lively 4. Derek Lively was in foul trouble, and I can't be mad at him for being in foul trouble because he was getting worked by Victor Wembanyama too. Klay Thompson 10 points, and then didn't get much off the bench. I mean, you got Max Christie 9 points, Ryan Nembhard 8 points. Yeah. Um, Mavs have a lot of rotational questions to answer. And the other note before we move on is that they said that around like Thanksgiving we're going to start hearing about Kyrie coming back, like actually coming back and playing basketball. So we'll see what happens after that. So they might just need to hold over this lineup, like just stay where they are, and maybe just float in the West and then wait for Kyrie to come back. It's going to be a lot to ask from Kyrie, but um, that just might be the way you have to do it. Moving on to this other game, this Cavs Knicks game. This game was interesting because there were a lot of players out for both teams. Even Karl Anthony Towns was questionable to play in this game for the Knicks. Um, and they were missing, who were they missing here? The Knicks were missing Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart. Mitchell Robinson, load management. Of course, he's always out. And Josh Hart back was out. I think he had a fall on his back in preseason, so he did not play. And for the Cavaliers, they got hit by this really badly. DeAndre Hunter, knee was out. Darius Garland toe out. Supposed to be back, maybe late October, early November, and then Max Strus out foot. He had an injury. He's no longer wearing a boot, but lengthy recovery process ahead. So they will be out. They will be without Max Strus for a little bit. There's not too much to say about this game. It was an opening night game where like it was awkward. It was weird. Obviously, the Knicks' new head coach, um, um, Mike Brown. I'm a big fan. I'm a fan. I shouldn't say big fan. I'm a fan of Mike Brown. Mike Brown. His coaching style was on display. Some good rotational stuff. Um, and the Cavs are just fighting off the back foot, man. I mean, you got an okay game from like Jalen Tyson and like Larry Nance and like Dean Wade, but like, ugh, it was tough, man. Donovan Mitchell was sort of like lagging behind the first half, and then he really turned it on the third. Um, we'll get to my notes in a second about that. Evan Mobley, we'll talk about him in a minute. Jared Allen, just when guys like Jared Allen suffer when you don't have a point guard, and even though they had Lonzo Ball out there, Lonzo Ball did not play well by any means, even by his standards. 3 points, 4 turnovers, 6 assists. Not a good game from Lonzo Ball, their offseason acquisition. Um, the New York Knicks, on the other hand, defensively, they look like they lost some of their identity. Obviously, that's going to happen with some of your major pieces missing. Um, but offensively, they looked really good. They looked better than they did last year, just off one game. And when they get their other guys back, they're going to look even better. One of the bigger things was Karl Anthony Towns um, in foul trouble already. First game, first hour of Knicks basketball was already in foul trouble. Already in foul trouble. Ended the game with 4 fouls, but man, he got a quick three in like the first like not even like 8 minutes of the game. Like it was crazy. And then he got one more later in the game, but the game was already over by then, so didn't really matter. But he was already in foul trouble, and it was bad. Um, Bridges looked good to start this game. 16 points, three steals, 2 blocks, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Did not take a lot of threes. Made one of them. 6 of 11 overall. Um, and I have I have a note here that says the Cavs putting together some interesting lineups. And man, oh man, were there some interesting lineups. Their rookie Tyrese Proctor from Duke got in the game. He looked halfway decent at times. Larry Nance was in there. I like Larry Nance a lot. He's another guy who kind of suffers when you don't have a point guard like Darius Garland out there, but he did well. 2 of 2 from three, 4 of 7 overall from field goal, 10 points. Lonzo Ball, Lonzo Ball needs a shooter out there. Like Lonzo Ball needs to have Max Juice or Sam Morril out there with him. Because if he doesn't, then oh god, he doesn't look good. Um, Evan Mobley looked incredible. He looked like the defensive player of the year that he was last year. Offensively, he looked way more comfortable. He took 8 threes and made 4 of them. This is all I've been asking for. Not even like the 8 threes, just making 4 threes. If you make 4 of them, I'm happy. You make 5 of 4 of them, I'm happy. Because when he does that, he looks really, really good. 3 personal fouls, 3 turnovers, 3 steals, 3 assists, 1 block. 8 of 18 overall. A little quick, a little shot happy, but when you're on a roll, when you feel like you're on a roll, you're just taking these shots. I understand it a little bit. Like I had alluded to, Donovan Mitchell turned it on in the third quarter. Ended the game with 31 points, 3 turnovers, 1 block, 2 steals, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. 12 of 25 were all from field goal, and 2 of 9 from three. Hit 2 really deep threes, actually. These were like, he was taking a lot of threes, but the ones he did make, they were pretty deep. Tried to bring the Cavs back into this game, but they simply just couldn't get it done. Um, for the Knicks, one of their offseason acquisitions, Jordan Clarkson. I was watching this game and I was like, so this is Jordan Clarkson, huh? People were right about Jordan Clarkson because there are people that like watch Utah Jazz games last year, be like, yeah, Jordan Clarkson isn't good at basketball anymore. Like he's just kind of like out there. His reputation precedes him, like his reputation is more than what he actually plays like. And I don't want to judge him off one game. He only played 13 minutes, but 2 of 7 overall from field goal, 0 of 2 from three, 4 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. You're gonna need to do a lot more to get some more playing time because there are guys like Miles McBride, there are guys like Tyler Kolak on this team that will take your spot um, for sure. And then another guy I want to talk about very quickly is their starting five this game for the Knicks. Ariel Hakpore, who got 1 start all of last year. 1 start. He did not play the best game. He had 2 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 personal fouls. I like the energy he brought. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Mitchell Robinson hater, and I don't like Mitchell Robinson. Like, I think he's very overrated, and I think Knicks fans always say, "Just wait till he comes back." Wait, till, it's the same old story. Wait till he comes back. Wait, he shouldn't have to come back. He's always injured. He's questionably in shape, out of shape. Neither here nor there. Ariel Hook Porter looked so much better in those 18 minutes that he got starting last night. Looked amazing. Stat line might not say that, but the energy, the effort, way better than what Mitchell Robinson would give you, um, personally. Um, Heading down the stretch of this game, Evan Mobley again, like I said, looked confident, maybe a little shot happy, but he did help the Cavs not go away. Obviously, on the back of Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs really didn't go away and close this game in um, two single digits, but really couldn't get it done. Evan Mobley took a crazy shot at 120 left in the game, and then Mitchell took another wild shot right after, and then there was a Cavs terrible after timeout play that really sealed their fate and why they lost the game. And the Knicks won the game not because of their offense, but because of their defense, what they're known for. Um, Other guys in this game, I didn't talk about Jalen Brunson doing Jalen Brunson things. 23 points, 12 of 13 overall, 12 of 13 from free throw, 1 of 9 from 3 point, 5 of 18 overall from field goal. Not his best percentages, not his best splits, but decent enough. Mikal Bridges, 16 points. Karl Towns, 19 points, 11 rebounds. Um, let's see here. Uh, Miles McBride, 15 points. Really good stuff. 4 of 6 from 3. Really padded their lead. Kept them above we should say above, their head above water, essentially. And yeah, these rotations are going to need work too. That's what this whole first couple weeks is about: is finding your rotations, finding your guys, and yeah, good win for the Knicks. Good win for the Knicks. Now to the topic that broke this morning. Um, let's get there. Let me close some tabs here. Hold on. Okay, so it came out this morning. Literally as I woke up, because these games are so um, late these days. Late into the night. Sleeping a little bit. Get some sleep, get some extra sleep. So I'm not talking in circles. But it broke this morning. What? Okay, so here's the news. So Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Trailblazers, and Terry Rozier. These are separate but connected incidents. So Shams Charania reports um, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier was arrested early Thursday morning as a part of an FBI sports betting gambling probe. Sources tell ESPN. The Eastern District of New York and FBI Director Patel will hold a press conference at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to announce the arrest from the investigation. Um, from the press conference, um, the gist of it was this is the pretty big thing. Um, Millions and millions of dollars, sports betting probe, all that stuff. If you want to look into it, you can look into it. I'm not going to get into it here because this is a sports channel. And then separately, this is completely separate but connected in this like operation from the FBI, but completely separate. Chauncey Billups has this is 4 hours ago, so yeah. Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups has been arrested by the FBI for an illegal gambling for alleged illegal gambling. Then it came out that Chauncey Billups was not in necessarily sports gambling, but poker gambling, involved with the mob. um, so yeah, there's that. Yeah, head coach. Hey, at least Chauncey didn't get involved in like the sports betting. At least it's just poker. It might be some illegal poker, but at least it's just poker. um, yeah. So there was that. Then it came out an hour ago that Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier have been placed on immediate leave by the NBA. And then there was a statement from the NBA Let me read this for you, and I quote: "We are in the process of reviewing the federal indictments announced today. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their teams, and we will continue to cooperate with the relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority." So yeah, and then before we get to this, before we get to the actual more back to basketball stuff, um, what well let's talk about this. Let's talk about Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier, it was funny because there was a joke on the internet all last year that Terry Rozier had to be betting on sports. He couldn't have played this bad. You know, he had a really bad year last year statistically. And visually watching him, you look at some of the games, you're like, that looks kind of weird. But then it's like, oh, he's injured. You know, he's out. And it comes out, was it maybe 4 or 5 months later that he was. And people on the internet were right to suspect something was up. And then for Chauncey Billups, man, oh man, I like Chauncey. Chauncey's not a bad guy. He's actually a really good guy. He's a really good guy. He gets forgotten about a lot. He's Mr. Clutch. He's the Finals MVP. I'm not saying all this stuff so he can sweep the other illegal things he's done under the rug, but he's a nice guy. And to get caught up in this is sort of like out of his depth. Like we all like to bet, like gamble responsibly. You know what I mean? Don't get into debt with certain people. But Chauncey needs to be smarter, man. I've liked Chauncey since he was a what do you call it, a I guess like an NBA personality, you know, on the TV shows, all that stuff, a talking head essentially. He was on The Jump with Rachel Nichols for a long time. I really liked him on there. He was on ESPN's version of Inside the NBA. Um, he was really good, and he wanted to get into coaching. He got into coaching. He's done an okay job in Portland. It remains to be seen if he will be able to return to Portland um, as a coach. And I, out of everybody involved in this, I don't really care about Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is who he is. Um, but for Chauncey, I hope everything works out for him. He shouldn't have done the things he did to get involved with the people he get involved with, especially as an NBA head coach making millions of dollars. But I hope he does better and everything gets sorted out for him. Um, it was announced 14 minutes ago. The Portland Trail Blazers assistant head coach Tiago Splitter will assume head coaching position in the interim of the place of Chauncey Billups. Nate Borgren was strongly considered by Portland, but decided it was best for the franchise. But decided it was best for the franchise for him to maintain his current role. Tiago Splitter, um, Spurs legend Tiago Splitter, was an assistant head coach in Brooklyn and Houston before becoming the head coach of Paris basketball, where he won a pair of champion league championships last season. The NBA veteran and 2014 champion, as a player, now assumes Portland's head coaching position in the interim. So there's that. Yeah, a wild, a wild, a wild morning in the NBA. Um, I saw a funny thing that was like Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, waking up this morning and seeing the news after a two brilliant nights of basketball, Monday night and last night, um, or Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and him waking up to see this, as somebody was like, he must have known about this. There's no way he didn't know about this beforehand. Who knows? So yeah, another 50-minute video for you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Um, you guys will get a video tomorrow. That'll be Friday about tonight's games, Thursday games, and then this weekend take a little break and we'll hit it back on Monday with some more games. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.